It's been said that we are the sum of our choices. While things work out for some of us, others are less fortunate. In any case, both the negative and positive aspects of our personalities shape who we become. Because words are cheap, make your actions count. Don't worry if you're still unsure of who you are or what you want to be. You'll figure it out eventually. Small decisions may appear insignificant at the time, but they can have significant and long-term consequences. Claire Segrin and Cal Hunter are a young couple who are in love. When Claire decided to take a year out from medical school, they spent the entire year together. They decided to buy a house at an auction, but not before doing some research and visiting the properties. Finally, the two came to a decision. Cal then proceeded to make an offer on their desired property. He won the auction and was given a 120-year-old manor instead. Despite the fact that neither of them was Scottish, they were looking to buy an apartment in Pollokshields, Glasgow. They realized there would be a lot of work to do because the property had been damaged by fire. They estimated that it would take 6 months to fix it, but it was well worth the wait. Claire went home for a visit when Cal stopped by the auction house. He made an offer on the home and was overjoyed when he was successful in his bid of PS 30,000. However, when he realized that the house on which he had bid was being sold in pre-lots, his elation changed to panic. He has another property. It turns out, Cal realized he'd made a mistake when he heard all sales are final. He took a deep breath and dialed his girlfriend's number, who was in Canada visiting her family. Imagine simply telling your lover that you paid $39,400 for a house you didn't want. Surprisingly, she did not become enraged. They opted to refurbish the house they bought because the amount of money they had to spend on a property was not excessive. It wouldn't be an issue, she assured him. Cal's father was right next to her when she called, and he had agreed with her. "What's the worst that might happen?" he said. They were about to discover just what their new property had in store for them. Cal discovered the manor's name at the auction, Jameswood Villa. It was described as necessitating a complete upgrade throughout. He came across a Google Street View photograph from 2010. Despite the fact that the location was no longer in its prime, these two were up for a challenge. Claire was Canadian and Cal was English, so they had to look up Dunoon on the map to figure out where their new home was. They were relieved to learn that Glasgow was not far away. Claire was intending to go to medical school at Glasgow University, so this was excellent for them. The young couple was feeling pretty upbeat about the situation. Both of them were cautiously excited about their new initiative. Cal went to Dunoon to inspect the property they had purchased at the auction. Unfortunately, as soon as they arrived in the region, they discovered that the photograph was very much out of date. The roof had gaping holes. It was clear that no one had lived in the mansion for the past 20 years, as most of the timber had rotted away. Aside from that, they understood they'd have to replace the plumbing and electrics. Their new derelict house was not supposed to be as unsafe and rundown as it turned out to be. What's more is that leaning, decaying front wall was slanted in such a way that it was hidden, indicating serious structural issues. The house was sinking into the ground, they found later. There was no question that this location would be difficult. Despite the difficulties, Cal and Claire weren't going to give up. They understood they'd have to get creative in order to fund this business. Not only would they have to perform the repairs themselves, but they would also have to change their way of life. In addition to completing all of the work, they would have to quit paying rent or mortgage. If they wanted to achieve this, they had to give it everything they had. That's exactly what they did. They both rolled up their sleeves and got to work. Then they rented a caravan and parked it in the garden so they had somewhere to live while finishing the project. Despite the fact that it had no power and running water, they were able to get by using candles and asking their neighbors for permission to use their oven and shower. These two young people characterized themselves as a pair that wanted to live life on the edge. It appears that they have exactly what they desire. They were more than willing to take a chance on the hand in front of them. After all, fate was the one who brought them together. The pair decided to start a blog and an Instagram feed to document their renovation process. It was a challenging restoration, which added to the couple's enjoyment of documenting their adventure. As a joke about what have we done, the two chose the clever title, What Have We Dunoon? This is a clever take on how the project began and where their land was located. Isn't that a clever wordplay? Since the beginning of the project in November 2018, the two of them have run into a number of issues. Finding a new problem appears to be a regular occurrence, Call continued. When the work van became bogged in the mud, the two of them decided to build a driveway themselves. They had to dig it up to locate the water supply, which proved to be more difficult than they had anticipated. The quest for a cable that would allow them to power the grid took 5 months. They had one more issue that would pique the interest of writer Joseph Heller: the manor's roof, which now has enough holes to pass for Swiss cheese, needed to be replaced. However, they were unaware that there was a problem. The walls did not appear to be sturdy enough to sustain a new roof since they were just too unstable. As a result, they had to repair the walls. But because there is no roof, the rain will simply fall down and ruin them once more. Cal described the issue as a huge catch-22 jigsaw puzzle. "We've been overwhelmed by the kindness of the people of Dunoon," said Callender, although some felt they were crazy for doing this. "The residents have always been encouraging and supportive. What a great community surrounds them." Claire and Cal created a GoFundMe page to raise funds for their project, which anybody may donate to, including family, friends, and strangers. Many others have contacted Claire and Cal through their site. Their followers were constantly there for these two, offering technical guidance and pointing them in the right direction for materials. If that wasn't enough, the outgoing pair met a lot of people who helped them with their refurbishment. Even friends show up every day to assist in any way they can. Cal and Claire intended to make this restoration project as ecologically friendly as possible, in addition to their realistic financial considerations. In that regard, they have chosen to use reused building materials. They are eager to recycle wood, flooring, kitchen cabinets, and anything else you can think of. Whatever they can get their hands on. When they laid down their tools, they both expected the property to be totally refurbished. However, they also intend to convert it into 3 separate apartments. They intend to sell 2 of them, use the proceeds to pay off their debts, and then live in the remaining apartment. Even though it wasn't what they had in plan, they realized that life was one huge adventure. That's how they dealt with it, and we're glad to hear that. They didn't want to stay in despair when they could still turn things around. We're not sure we'd be able to do what these 2 young adults accomplished, and we're sure many others feel the same way. Cal and Claire take on everything in life with a smile and a determined mind. Like anything else in life, one must consider the risks and benefits. The project's hazards were immediately clear from the start. Who knows, maybe they lost their hard-earned money when they bought it. Furthermore, the refurbishment may cause them to lose even more. It was a huge risk. However, they believe that the positives exceeded the negatives in this scenario. They would not only learn a lot along the way, but they would also grow closer as a pair. Not only that, but they'd be able to call themselves homeowners while still in their 20s. They wouldn't even have to pay their mortgage. It would be a tremendous achievement. We'll just keep our fingers crossed for them while the work is still going on, which will take a long time. We hope they never lose hope and persevere in dealing with their fortunate accident. But to be honest, we're not too concerned about these two. They appear to know exactly what they want, and nothing seems to be able to stop them when they are focused. Claire and Cal were finally able to get electricity on their property in early March. It was an absolutely remarkable feat. Even expert electricians sometimes have trouble with old houses that haven't been utilized in a long time. However, it was a significant step forwards for the two of them. We're not just talking about how far they've gotten with the house, though. More than that, the fact that they had electricity in their home meant a lot to them. A friend was astounded to see that they had already installed and tested power in the house. They still have a long way to go, but they've come a long way. We wish them all the best as they work on the restoration of Janewood Villa. If Claire and Cal's unexpected and successful story achieves anything, we hope it inspires and drives everyone to believe that everything is possible, even if they don't feel they can. Even though it starts off as a mistake, it could end up being the most incredible thing you've ever done.